Hello guys and welcome back. Today I'm going over the history of drop rates in Borderlands 2 and how we have become used to an artificial or boosted drop rate system, but I will get to that later. First I have to thank the artist Senomancer, who continues to make unique Borderlands art to this day, so go check out the page and show some support. Link will be in the description down below. So with that, let's get right into it. Alright, so Borderlands still has a strong core community that plays the game every day, and there are still new people who have never experienced the games jumping into it for the first time every single day. Most people tend to choose to start at Borderlands 2. This game was the biggest commercial success, and most of the community chooses to spend most of their time there as well. But this game is 5 years old now. It was originally released in September of 2012. Now, as the game progressed, normally from 2012, patches were released for balancing, bug fixes, and so much more. Now, the main end game, or fun of the game for a lot of people, comes with farming, which is a term used to describe fighting the same boss over and over for a desired piece of loot. Most of the unique bosses in Borderlands have a corresponding piece of gear, whether it's legendary or just a red text weapon. And the best gear comes from this is usually the legendaries, which is the orange color. If you're active in the community at all, you know people still post asking how long it will take for them to farm weapons, complaining about never having good drop rates, and so much more, just all about loot all the time. Which makes sense, it's a game all about legendary drop rates, so some people will have problems when it is all RNG based and you aren't guaranteed anything. A lot of this has to do with these players never having to live without the legendary patch. Now, what is the legendary patch? Well, 2 months after the release of the Handsome Collection, which brought Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel to Xbox One and the PS4, Gearbox released a legendary drop rate hotfix in May of 2015. I will link the Gearbox announcement to this decision down in the description, but it's a public post in which they explained how they decided how much to buff the drop rates. Quote, "The results of our recent Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel legendary drop rate experiments are in. A special thanks goes out to everyone who played and shared feedback over the last few weeks. After analyzing thousands of hours of your gameplay and feedback survey data, we decided to add a permanent 3 times drop rate increase to both games. Yes, you read that right. Starting May 26, hotfixes that increases legendary drop rates will be rolling out for Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel, and Borderlands the Handsome Collection across all platforms. We will be looking to permanently incorporate those hotfixes via future updates down the road. For those curious, here's a little background on how the experiments went down. Every week between April 9 and May 13th, we had a different legendary drop rate modifier applied via hotfix, but we held back on the exact details. We did this because we wanted to find out what drop rates felt right and didn't want the player opinions being influenced by the numbers. For those 5 weeks, community members tested out the drop rates and let us know what they thought via the forums and feedback survey. After digging through all the data, we discovered that the standard drop rates were perceived as too rare, but that anything over a 3 times boost felt like too much. Almost to the point where we're starting to take away from the challenges and excitement from seeing the beautiful orange glow. Thanks again to everyone who participated in the experiments, and happy hunting. So a lot of people don't know that we've been living with a buffed legendary system for over 2 years, and it has just started to feel normal for most players. Now, there will still be those that argue that they still never see legendaries and it needs to be buffed higher, but I personally don't think it should. The Sham Infinity Pistol and all those super rare weapons should take a long time to farm. And if you think they're hard to farm for now, just imagine how they were back in the day. I personally have such fun memories of farming for those extremely rare legendary weapons for hours on end. It made drops feel very, very special, but at the time, I'll acknowledge I was in high school, classes were easier, and I had time to kill after school. But I know a lot of people do not have that type of time to just pour into one game for one weapon. And because of the way that RNG, or just the random drops work, you could farm for hours and still walk away with nothing. And a lot of people just can't put that time into the game. So because of that, some people actually very much enjoy how the drop rates work in Borderlands now, which I can acknowledge and totally get behind. The end game of Borderlands is farming for the best weapons. And if people want the drop rates to get too high, it will just take away more of the end game. And then they'll just check off getting all the legendary weapons and then just move on to something else. And then I feel like that will almost work backwards, and people will get mad that there's not enough stuff to farm because it just all happened so quickly. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys know about the legendary patch that buffed drop rates? Or do you remember back in the day when we didn't have this and farming an infinity pistol would take forever? Also, when the next Borderlands is released, should drop rates be similar to that of the original Borderlands 2 at launch? Or do you think Gearbox should keep up that 3 times multiplier as the new standard? Either way, I'm just excited to see what Gearbox does and how farming will change in the next iteration and finding the next ultra rare gun. But that's just my opinion. Let me know all your thoughts down below, like, comment, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one.